years of service?
Yeah, or the years you were in Vietnam.
Vietnam was from 1 September 68 to 1 September 69. It was exactly 1 year, right to the day.
Wow.
Ewing and Beggerly came with me on that.
What squadron were you with?
602nd was the squadron. I'd was advised, put it that way, that the 602nd was Sandy, and that mission, the whole idea of rescue, was something that appealed to me, and I felt really strongly about that. It's hard to explain, Rich, but there's something. Well, we were talking about Forrest Fenn. You remember that deal?
Yes. Can you tell me some? Why don't you lead me through the Forrest Fenn experience?
Well, the call sign was litter. Forrest Fenn was pre-briefed. It was going to be a first flight effort. Call sign litter. And I don't remember the numbers on that particular deal, but we knew we were going out to a relatively undefended area deep in the karst, but we didn't know exactly where he was. But Nail had an idea. So the Nail FAC was talking to Jim Jamerson, was Sandy 1 at that time. I was 2, John Carlson was 3, and for the life of me, none of us has been able to come up with who 4 was that day. And I don't have any pictures of him. Damn it. Anyhow, we fired up and followed the Jollies over there. And this was in the narrow neck of Laos. And there had evidently been an arc light bombing during the night. So we really didn't know what we were getting into. But we went whistling along, which when in A-1, you can't whistle along very good. That's 130 indicated was really humming. Anyhow, Major Fenn at that time was deep in a cup in a karst bowl. He was on the west face of the karst. And of course, this took a while to establish. And I'm trying to hang on to the Jollies, keep them in sight, keep 3 and 4 in sight, and still stay with my flight leader. My prime responsibility is cover his 6. So I'm really busy. There's a lot going on. And of course, there's 3 radios in the airplane, all of which are yelling various things at you at various times. And it took a while. We finally got everybody kind of in that area. And Nail said, all right, Sandy, you're there. And he's right there someplace. So Jim went down to take a look. And there was so much chatter and confusion at that time. I said, okay, what we're going to do here, I put down a Willie Pete bomb that was unarmed. That's white phosphorus to the uneducated. Mm-hmm. And the damn thing didn't behave as advertised. It wouldn't. It just wouldn't come up through the trees. So I said, okay, selected the other one and dropped it hot. And when that thing burst, it's a huge burst of white phosphorus in the trees. And I said, all right, 3 and 4, you stay south of there with the Jollies. Lead and I are going in. All right. So Jim, meanwhile, had all but discovered where Major Fenn was hiding at that time. Well, while he was circling, trying to pinpoint an exact position, Jolly Low come in without invitation. And Jim talked about that at the debrief. I'll never forget it. He said, almost had to fire a round across his nose to slow him down. That was Colonel Morris, J.I. Morris, flying that airplane, and he did a hell of a good job. Major Fenn came up on the radio, and he was puffing. He was walking, or actually he was moving some really rough country. And he was against the wall of the karst in such a way that Jolly could not hover directly over him. Jolly could only get so close, and then he'd be up against the karst. So the Jollies held at a position, or Jolly Low lead held at a position where he could get the string down, and he damn near ran out of string. He had all of it down. And Major Fenn was able to get to it, although he was puffing hard. He'd obviously been climbing. And we pulled him up, and Jolly took him home. I have a picture of Colonel Carlson and myself and Colonel Morris and Major Fenn. And we're all standing there talking alongside of the helicopter after the rescue. And he was one happy man. He really felt good about this. Now the rest of the story is what we talked about last night, as far as that goes. That Forrest Fenn became an art dealer. And he had quite a bit of money that he had accumulated. And he packed a box, and I'm not sure of the description of the box. I believe it was a wooden crate, but we can deal with that later. The box contained bar gold and jewelry and gemstones valued at over $1 million. And he wrote a verse, kind of a blank verse, as to how to find this out in the countryside. And he hid it somewhere in the Rocky Mountains. And sure enough, about 3 years ago, maybe a little bit more than that, somebody found that box. And whoever that was, and I never did learn the name, really, really stumbled on a lot of money.
I remember when that was happening because a bunch of my advertising film buddies, they weren't sure where it was in the country, but they were all like, oh my God, this is out here somewhere, you know, and they were calling me going, okay, we know it's in the mountains, and they knew I was in the Smokies, so they were asking me, where would this fit? So they were asking me, I'm like, what are you doing? They're like, well, they didn't want to tell me they were hunting for treasure. They didn't want to bring me in on it. They just wanted a little advice. I was like, well, this is what I think from what you're saying, but I'm not sure, you know.
No.
So, but everybody in the world was looking for that.
That's true. It was a worldwide deal. People were trying to position it, and then they'd go into that country and so on and so forth.
So you rescued...
Anyhow, we rescued the man that became how do you want to say that? He positioned the box.
I've heard of pirates. What do you call the guy that hides the treasure? He was the